Begin the current Daf Mesech Yoma Daf Lamed Daled. Begin 12 lines down at the top of the Amud, where the Gemara continues explaining the halacha of our Mishnah regarding the order of the avodah that the Kohen Gadol would do that day, which was essentially a lot of the order that it was in general, which continues in the theme of the previous Daf that we said the Abaya organized the Manacha. Which corresponds because the Kinichaska to enter Daf should be a schus for Tinik Ben Yehudis. Appreciate everyone joining us for today's Daf. Some of this we're discussing today's Daf is regarding heating the water of the mikvah for the Kohen Gadol in Kippurim. That's been discussion on the base. Big 11, as we mentioned, is the white linen garments that the Kohen Gadol would wear that day. The Dharma and the Davis are certain types of karbanas that he vows or he donates to bring to the Beis Hamikdash. Davish and Miskabin is a halacha that if it's something that you did not intend to do, then you're not liable for that. So, we had mentioned in the previous dafim the avodas that we have every single day. We had a machlekes between Abba Shol and the Chacham. According to Abba Shol, we said the order was the Hatavas Chamesh Neres, then the Damat Tamid, and then the Hatavas Beis Neres. So you have the Damat Tamid between the Hatavas of the different of 5 and 2 of the Neres, and then Ketairos, Evar, Mincha, Chavit, and Nesacha. The Chacham, we said that they hold that actually the Damat Tamid comes before any of the Neres. Damat Tamid, then Hatavas Chamesh Neres, then Ketairos, and yes, if you recall yesterday we were saying that Abayus Masad Maruch Mashmeid the Gemara believe it Abba Shol, but Abba Shol holds the Ketairos was after. So according to the Chacham, they hold actually the Ketairos is what splits up the Hatavas Chamesh Neres and Hatavas Shtei Neres. So that's where our Gemara continues and says, in our Mishnah we quoted Ketairos Shal Shachar, we said that the Kohen Gadol, when he would bring the Ketairos in the morning, he said Kreva ben Dam Leivar Machulu. So it was brought between the blood of the Korban Tamid and the limbs of the Korban Tamid. So the Gemara says, Mani, who's the Tana by Mishnah? If it's Rabbanan that they're quoted in the first paragraph that they say that the Ketairos is what comes between the Hatavas and the Neiros, well, then that's not precise by saying that the Ketairos is between the Dam and the Evarim. Bin Dam le Neiros mi boile. It should have said between the Dam of the Tamid and the Neiros, meaning before you finish the Neiros, because it comes before the Hatavas Beis Neiros. Why are you saying it comes before the Evarim? It's not so precise. It should be before the Hatavas Beis Neiros. And the Abba Shol, and if you think the Mishnah is going like Abba Shol, well then Bein Neiros la Evarim, then the Ketairos should be said not between the Dam Tamid and the Evarim, but between the Hatavas Beis Neiros and the Evarim, because it comes after the Beis Neiros. So why is it saying between the Dam and the Evarim? According to either opinion, it's not precise. Says the Gemara, La'olam Rabbani. Truthfully, we're going like the Rabbanan. Rashi says, because anyways, we could have answered with like either one based on the answer we're about to give, so we prefer to say like the Rabbanan. Tais, however, says it's not because we prefer to, it's because you can't say this like Abba Shol, because of the Reish of the Mishnah was not like Abba Shol, which it says that he went into do the Ketairos and then to do the Hatavas and Neiros. Obviously, the Mishnah on Daf Yomi is not like him, so therefore we're saying it's not like Abba Shol, so it's like the Rabbanan. And then you had a question according to the Rabbanan, why he's saying the Ketairos that he brought in the morning was between the Dam and the Evarim? It was not, it was between the Dam and the Neiros. Says the Gemara, but we weren't so precise, we weren't saying the general order of the specifics of everything. As we're going to see shortly, the Gemara is going to continue. We're telling you precisely regarding the limbs of the Korban Tamid, how is the Ketairos in regards to the Evarim. So that's what we're saying, Beidam Le'Evarim, because that's the main point of our focus. But the truth is, it wasn't really between Dam Le'Evarim, it was really between the Dam and the Hatavas Beis Neiros. But it's going even according to Rabban. Now, that was regarding the Tamid Shal Shachar. Then we said, the Ketairos that he brought in the evening, that was brought between the limbs of the Korban Tamid being thrown on the Mizbeach, and then the Nesachim, the Minchas Nesachim. Says the Gemara, where do we know this? That in the evening, the Ketairos was between the Evarim and the Nesachim. So says the Gemara, it says, the Pasuk says about Midbar, like the flour offering that you did in the morning with its libations, Pasuk, that's how you should do the Mincha in the evening. Which means, just like the Mincha in the morning. Ketairos, Kedamas, the Nesachim, the Ketairos came before the Nesachim, which you had it after the Ketairos, because the Evarim were also after it. So Avkan Ketairos Ketavas and Nesachim. Also over here in the evening, Ketairos are going to be before the Nesachim. So that's how you know this halacha. But the question is, Yimala Halam. But wait a second. If you're comparing it to Ketairos that were in the morning, Just like over in the morning Keteris Kedemis Leivarim, the Keteris were not only before the Nesachim, but they even before the limbs. Afkar Keteris Kedemis Leivarim. Also over here, the Keteris should be before the limbs. Why over here are you saying in the evening it was between the Ivarim and the Nesachim? Because you're comparing it to the Shalshacha, which was before the Nesachim. Well, then it should be even before the Ivarim. That's the Gemara. No, Miksiv and the Gemara's Medayik. Does it say in the pasuk Ivari HaBaker? Does it say just like how the limbs were done in the morning, so too it should be in the limbs in the evening? And then you could infer, just like the limbs in the morning were after the Keteris, so too the limbs in the evening should be after the Keteris? No, it doesn't say that. Keminchas HaBaker, like the mincha of the morning, that's what Ksiv, it says in the pasuk, that's what the mincha in the evening should be like. Which is Keminchas HaBaker, like the mincha of the morning. But not to say that the limbs of the evening should be Ke'ivari HaBaker, like the limbs of the morning. So therefore, the pasuk is only comparing the mincha, just like the minchas nesachim were after the Ketairis in the morning, so too is the mincha in the evening after. But regarding that of the Ivarim, we're not comparing it to that. And regarding that, the Ketairis is still going to be after the Ivarim. It's not going to be before the Ivarim. Now, continuing on this halacha of the Nesachim that were brought by the Karban Tamid, which we were just discussing regarding the placement of the Ketairis in regards to the Nesachim, that we said both in the morning and the evening was before the Nesachim. So, turn by one Braisa, the source for this halacha, it says, V'niskei revias hahin. It says that its libation was a quarter of a hin for the one, it says, lekevas ha'echad. By the Karban Tamid, it says for the one lamb, which teaches that one of them requires, there's two tamidin every single day, one of them requires nesachim. What's the one? So the first time that learns, it's going on the one of the Tamid Shal Bein Abayim, because that's what the pasuk there is talking about. It's saying, V'sakevas ha'sheni tasib in the lamb. The second lamb should be brought in the evening. Tasir se'efa, should be sightless, v'gaimer, etc. Oilas tamid l'asuya, and v'nisker v'yasahin. So that's going on that of the Tamid Shal Bein Abayim. Now, says the first Tana, Yoma Shal Shachris Mishal Avos. Now, but we'll learn that Tamid Shal Shachris needs just like the Tamid Shal Avos needs. So, but the pasuk is said in the context of the Tamid Shal Bein Abayim. Now, Rabbi disagrees. He says no, Arvis Mishal Shachris. He says actually the pasuk is talking about the Tamid Shal Shachar. Why? Because when it says like Keves Ha'echad, the one lamb requires the Nisachim. How do I know what's going on Shal Shachar? As the Gemara is actually about to clarify, because it says as a Keves Echad Tasam Abayker. It says the one lamb you do in the morning, so the word Echad is indicating the morning one. So when it says here, La Keves HaEchad, the one lamb requires Nesachim, it's going on the Tamid Shal Shachar. But we'll learn the Tamid Shal Avos from Shachas. So Taisa says, so then what's the difference? Either way, you're saying both needs Nesachim. You either have Shachar and you're learning Avos, other, or it says by Avos learning Shachar. So Taisa says the difference would be if a Tzibra only has Nesachim for one of them. That according to the one who learns it out from Shachar would say the Shachar is the Ikr, and then you bring it in the morning. According to the one that says it was not the morning from the evening is the primary, and you would only bring it in the evening. As the Taisa says, would seemingly be the difference between their different opinions. But the Gemara asks, Bishlam the Rabbanan said according to Rabbanan, the context there, as we just quoted from Rashi Namad Aleph, is continuing. It says, etc., and it goes on to say, like it's going on the last one that you mentioned, which is the Tamid Shal Bein Abayim. And the Rebbe might tell, what's the reason Rebbe that he says that no, the primary one that was mentioned was the Tamid Shal Shachar? So like we alluded already from Rashi, it says like Keves Ha'echad, to the one lamb. That's the one that requires Nesachim. Is there Keves Shenem B'Echad? Which lamb is the one that says the word Echad by? Is it Tamid Shal Shachar? But the Tamid Shal Shachar says like Keves Ha'echad, and it says like Keves Ha'sheni Tasam Bein Abayim. So the one that's called Echad is the one Shal Shachar, and then that's going to be the primary one. Says the Gemara, Rabbanan my Echad. What do they do with Echad? Obviously, they're not learning that Echad comes to tell you the Tamid Shal Shachar because they hold the primary Tamid Shal Abayim. So why is the Taka called like Keves Ha'echad? That's to tell you Miyuchad Sheva, to tell you the one that's the designated one of the flock, meaning you should take from the choicest one, the one. Oh, that one. That's the one we're going to use for the Karban Tamid. Rebbe, he would tell you, no, we have a pasuk in the Varm that already tells you Mimivchar is the Gerson Nidreicha Nafka. We already know from the different pasuk, from the choices of your vows. We know you have to be the best carbon. We wouldn't use La'echad for that. And that Rabban would tell you, no, Chad B'Ched B'Cham and the Dava. One has to teach you regarding obligatory carbonas, you have to take the best. And that's the one that we have over here by the Karban Tamid. B'Cham and the Dava, one's by those when you donate, which the other pasuk are Mivchar Nidreichem, and says the Gemara B'Trichi. You need to say by both of them. Why? Because on the one hand you could say that when you bring in a dove, you have to bring out the most beautiful carbon so that it should be accepted as a gift. On the other hand, you could say that no, when you have an obligation, you have to pay back from the best that you have. So each one, you wouldn't know from the other one, so therefore you have to say by both of them that they have this halacha, and therefore the Rabbanim disagree, and they say no, the Keves HaEchad tells you Meyuchad Shebe'edrei, and it doesn't say anything about the Tamar Shashachar, it's going what it said before, it's the Tamar Shebe'edrei. Now the Mishnah had said that the Kohen Gadol was elderly, or he was delicate, so he can't go to Kalta Mikvah. So they would heat it up a little bit so that it shouldn't be so difficult. So time when the Brisa elaborates, Amar Yehuda says Ashashish al Barzel. They had these bars of iron. They would heat up from before Yom Kippurim. Matilim Teretzayin looks like our mikvahs. We have those bars of iron inside, heating it up. They put it inside to cool it off a little bit. Just take out the tip from the Kalta that should cool it off a little bit. Says the Yoma Daf is halacha that when you put iron from the fire into water, what it actually does is that it strengthens and hardens the iron because it gets softened the iron when you heat it up. And the problem is that's called makeh b'patish. That's finishing off a vessel when you put it into something cold, it freezes it up and it hardens it up. So that's forbidden to be done on Yom Kippurim to do malacha. So Rabbi says no, we're talking about where it didn't reach that stage of tzir, meaning it already cooled off a little bit from the fire that it had been on. So although all night long it was on these hot coals, but it didn't get so whitened that it should be strengthened by putting it into the water. So it's not tzir if it didn't reach that stage to be a makeh b'patish. It wasn't so hot.
How about the water? You're making it hot. The water, that's also good.
You're cooling it down. You're not heating it up. You're not heating up that to make it hot. Yeah, you're not doing bishul. Right. It's not that hot that it's heating the water. Now, Bayam he says no. I feel a tamish agila tzir. If you're going to say that no, that it was so hot that when you put it into the water, it strengthened the iron.
But isn't that iron which is already nigmar belachto and you do it again? You shach tzir the second time.
Yeah, generally you say that when you heat up something, it loses, and then you put it back in.
I see. In other words, so it could be tzir pachach tzir.
Could be, because it's already it gets softened up, and then you harden it again. But then Sabai says nafal t'mishagilitzi. You could even say no. It's the type of state that it would come into that it would be mitzvah or to harden it. But other shit is coming to something that's not intended. It's permitted. So it's not his intention to make a kli over here. His intention is just to heat up the mikvah. So therefore, there's no problem. Says Imam Yoma, can Abai have given such an answer to say, because it's unintended, therefore that's mutter? But the time when the Brisa in the passage that talks about doing the milah, the mitzvah of circumcision, it says on the 8th day he will circumcise bisar or lasai, the flesh of his foreskin, which that tells you from the word basar it comes to include someone that has a nega tzaras, because the pasuk could have just said yimel or lasai, will circumcise his foreskin. Why does it say yimel bisar or lasai? The word bisar is extra to tell you the word basar that says by negoim. It says adam kiyib or bisarai. If a person can have of the skin of his flesh, that says basar over there, so that's what basar is referring to over here. That even if he has, by the point of the foreskin, he has a baharis, he has a negative tzaras, you cut it off because of the bris milah, the Rabbi Yeshua. But we ask, what do you need a pasuk for? It's davar shem eskaven. You're not intending to. You're not allowed to cut off a negative tzaras. That's not your intention. They're not doing it because they want to take up negative tzaras. They're doing it bris milah. So what do you need a pasuk for? Davar shem eskaven. From Abai, and Abai says, it's going to be Huda. The moment that he says, Davar shem eskaven is aser. It doesn't make a difference. It's not your intention. Lama is doing something that's forbidden. But one thing you see that according to Abaya, this pasuk supports Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Shimon, they usually didn't answer. According to Rabbi Shimon, Davar shem eskaven. What do you need a pasuk for? You don't need a pasuk to say basar to include that you go to a negative tzaras. Davar shem eskaven. Rabbi Shimon holds mutter. So obviously from Abaya that he said Taka is going like Rabbi Yehuda, but say so you're saying a pasuk is like Rabbi Yehuda. So you obviously hold like Rabbi Yehuda that Davar shem eskaven is aser. So how are you answering over here that the Kohen Gadol they would put in the irons and there's no problem with mitzvah because it's unattended, but you hold like Rabbi Yehuda hold as aser. So on that says the Gemara, hani min l'chol kula. But that's throughout general biblical prohibitions, like cutting off a beheres of tzaras, which the pasuk says in Dvarim Chavdal, Hishama b'neged tzaras, which the Gemara says that means to say you're not allowed to cut off a neged tzaras. This is a case of rabbinic tziruf, as Taisa explains, because here this that you're strengthening these bars of iron is rabbinic because these are not vessels. they're not. Maybe you're going to make vessel out of them at the end, but right now that's not gemar malach. You're not making a vessel out of these pieces of metal, and because of that, you're not doing anything that's prohibited. So he obviously has a whole marach over here regarding the B'Shem Sekresh, all these different halachas that we have throughout Masechet Shabbos. But in the simple understanding, it's a rabbinic tziruf. There's no keli over here, so therefore we're not going to say that you can't even do it because of this halacha. So it's B'Shem Miskabim together with the fact that it's only rabbinic tziruf. We're not going to say that it's asa. Yeah, kol Torah kul. In the biblical isser, B'Shem Miskabim can be asa, but by rabbinic law, they were not going to say that it's asa.
But you would say that even by not saying against the lois asa, you have to say can I get a lois asa here, right?
Which I say?
Neither.
Oh, I'm saying that you have exeres akasa. This is the pasuk is saying. The pasuk is saying that go ahead and do it.
Right.
So it's not really a say the chaloisa say. It's
We have lois asa of the soil.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but the Torah is telling you to do this.
So
Right.
you don't have to come out with it.
Right. You have to say that. I'm going to say the chaloisa say. Right. Sure, I was the next Mishnah. The Mishnah continues regarding this. That we talk about this. The avodas hayoyim. He said that he told himself first in the morning. Then he went. He did the carbon tamid, like we said, all those different avodas ketores. In the previous Mishnah, we discussed what he did with big days up. Now on to the next stage, which Havila based on Parva. Now he's going to do his second tefillah of the day. Like we said, he does 5 tefillahs and 10 kedushin. He's up to tefillah number 2 because he did the avodas hayoyim that they usually do in the morning. So if you base Parva, they brought him to base Parva to do the second tefillah. Like we said, it has to be in a holy place, as we explained previously, which the base Parva was Bakodesh. And Parsa shall butz beinil beina'am, and they went, they spread a linen garment between him and the people. Kiddush of the B'Raglav, he went, he sanctified his hands and his feet. Upashat, then he took off his clothing. R'meimer, he says, no, actually, Pashat first he took off his clothing, and then Kiddush of the B'Raglav, then he did Kiddush of the which we explained this already at great length on Daf Lamed Alf on the base. There's machlekes between the man Rabbanan regarding did you first do Kiddush, then take off your clothing, or did he first take off your clothing and then do Kiddush of the But be that as it may, Yard then he went down into the mikvah, and all of a sudden he came out, he dried himself off. They brought him the white linen garments. Lavish, he put them on, and then Kiddush of the here everyone agrees, he first got dressed, and then he went Kiddush of the Now, B'Shachar in the morning, the garments that he'd wear after this tefillah, Hayalevish Pelusin, he wore linen from the country Pelusin, which was very chashuv and high quality. Shoshnei masamana of 12 mana. That's how much it was. Ben Rabbayim in the evening, the garments he would wear to take out, which was also the white linen garments. Remember, 2 times he would wear these white linen garments, 3 times big this up, 2 times white linen garments. One when he went originally to do it, and the second time when he went to take out the spoon and the pan, that was a lower quality. So that was Hinduyan. That was from linen that was made in the land of Hinduyan, which is Eretz Kush, Ethiopia. So this is discussion exactly what this Hinduyan is, but Shoshmanim Zuz, that was of 800 Zuz. Which Taisus asks on the next daf, he says, I don't understand, why don't you just say it was 8 mana? Like the Rasha said it was 12 mana, so why are you saying of 800 Zuz? Why are you changing the wording? So Taisus says, maybe the wording wouldn't sound so good of Shmaina Mana. Shmaina Mana is like one of those tongue twisters that therefore changed the wording of saying what it is. But be that as it may, it was 12 mana in the morning and 8 mana in the evening. That's the Remeir. So it was cheaper, the quality in the evening. But Chomar, the sages say they agree that, but they say it was different amounts. In the morning was 18 mana, but in the evening was 12 mana. So again, according to the Remeir, it was a total value of 20 mana because it was that of 12 and 8. According to the Chachamim, it was more expensive. It was actually 18 plus 12, which was 30 mana. Which Elu Mishal Tzibur, these were all from the Tzibur. If the Kohen Gadol wanted higher quality stuff, so then he could add on from his own. But this is what the Tzibur gave him for that amount to buy for his clothing. Something we discussed in today's daf in Yoma Daf Lamed Daled was the same Mishnah that the Keter Shel Shachar, when we talk about the void of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, which he did all those big days of that you do, and every single day he was just doing all himself. We said it was between the Dam and the Ivan. We said that's not precise because that's not like Rabban or like Abishal. So he said the truth is not going like the regular order. The truth is it is between Dam and the Neiris, because according to the Rabbanan you have it between that Tavis Chamish Neiris and the Tavis. It's not between Dam and the Ivan. The Neiris come first. So we said, but the reason why we're saying this was because we just wanted to point out regarding the Ivarim, and that was the main point, but we weren't saying the actual order. Then we said in Shal Ben Abayim, then the Keteris was Ben Ivarim L'Nesachim. So he said, how do we know that it's between the Ivarim and the Nesachim? So he said, because like the Mincha of the morning, that's how you can do it in the evening. Now, which tells us that just like in the morning, Keteris was before the Nesachim, so too, that's how you're going to have it in the evening. Now, so why isn't that before the Ivarim then also? The Keteris is before the Ivarim in the morning. He says, no, we're saying Keminchas HaBeker, not like Ivarim Beker. So, although in the morning it's even before the Ivarim, in the evening we're only comparing it to the Minchas HaBeker, and it's Nesachim. For that it's going to come before, but not regarding the Ivarim. So it'll be between the Ivarim and between that of the Nesachim. And what's the source of Nesachim at all? So the pasuk says, "V'nisker revius hahen." It's Nesachim will be a quarter of a hin. So it says Lakeves ha'echad. So the question is, which one's ha'echad? Either it's for the Shabbos because that's where it says Lakeves ha'echad, or it's going to the evening because that's what the topic's talking about. It was talking about the Tomei Shel Ben Abayim over there. If it's going to Tomei Shel Ben Abayim, so what's echad? So echad would mean not like Lakeves ha'echad, which is the morning one. It would mean miyuch. It means it has to be from your best stuff. So then, but we have another part that says mivcha nidreichem. So that's because one's for nadava and one's for chayva. And yeah, you would need to have both because you would think maybe only nadava needs your best, or maybe chayva needs your best. And then it doesn't make a difference according to either opinion. You're learning out one from the other. Shtaisa says, what's the difference? Then if you only have one, then which one will be? It'll be evening one or the morning one. We said in the Mishnah that the Kohen Gadol is a zak and the isness, so you make iron bars that you heat up and you put into the mikveh to cool it off to heat it up. So it says Ait Mitzarf. It says either Shalahi Gilatzir or it's Davar Miskaven. Because so here it's Sivat Rabbanan together with the fact that Davar Miskaven, then it's going to be mutter because Davar Miskaven by actual is Asr, but that's on the biblical level. Here it's Rabbinic. It's here. We start next mission was regarding they would bring him to the Beis HaParvam, the Machlekes, which we have a previous dafim, which one's first, the Kiddush or the Pshita. And we said that the Big Lovin of the morning was more expensive than that of the evening. We just said Machlekes exactly how much. Was it 18 and 12? Or was it 12 and 8? Was it 20 mana totally? Or was it 30 mana totally? But everyone agrees that the morning clothing were more expensive than the evening clothing. Thank you anytime for hosting us.